I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. At a press briefing on Tuesday, New York City Mayor Eric Adams responded to questions about crime and punishment in his city. A 16-year-old allegedly attacked an NYPD officer at a subway stop and was released almost immediately, which Adams decried as an example of, quote, catch, release, and repeat. Adams, a former police officer, ran for mayor as a comparatively tough-on-crime Democrat and has found himself being pressured politically from moderates and conservatives to oppose lax bail laws. This attack on an officer comes after a series of violent incidents in which alleged perpetrators are very quickly released without bail for offenses that historically led them to longer incarceration.
Marsha, how are you? Good.
So I'd like to ask you about an incident that involved two transit cops who were attacked when they tried to stop two 16-year-olds who were jumping the turnstile. I wonder why, if you think that that behavior is acceptable, but a bigger question has to do with the raise the age laws. You had, as part of your criminal justice plan, had asked the legislature to change the raise the age laws so that instead of 18, people at age 16 could be charged in criminal court. In this case, when they went to family court, they were released. One of the people had a gun charge. So how is this acceptable that a person with a gun charge who attacks an NYPD transit cop is allowed to walk the streets, and does it say something about our laws that they have to be changed?
Well, there's one aspect of that was missing. July 20 of 2022, just a few days ago, he's arrested for robbery. Catch, release, repeat. Catch, release, repeat. This person was arrested for robbery a few days ago. Now he's back. Decides he's not going to pay his fare. The transit officer communicated with him. He decided that he was not going to leave the system. The transit officer could have arrested him for not paying his fare. He didn't do that. Told him to leave the system. In response, we saw in the video what happened. Just a total disregard for public safety, not only for public safety for that transit officer, but also for the person he robbed. This is what we are saying about what is happening in our criminal justice system. So yes, we're saying let's re-examine the bail laws in the area of violent offenders. Violent offenders. Robbery is a violent crime. So as soon as we catch them, the system releases them and they repeat the action. That is just, that's when I say we're the laughingstock of the country, this is what I'm talking about. How do we keep our city safe when the other parts of the criminal justice system, they have abandoned our public safety apparatus? And we need to look at violent offenders, and this is a clear case of that.
Don't you find it sort of ironic that you're on the same page as Lee Zeldin, the Republican candidate for governor, and calling on the legislature to change the bail laws? And also, I think you must be also talking about the raise the age law. Do you think that that also should be reduced to 16? And you're on the same page as Zeldin.
Well, no, I don't think it's ironic I'm on the same page as Zeldin. I think it's ironic that he finally caught up to Kathy Hochul and I. Kathy made it clear, Governor Hochul made it clear that she was not willing to pass the budget without dealing with some of the issues around criminal justice deform. I don't call it reform. And so I believe that he has finally raised his voice for something that Governor Hochul and I have been talking about for far too long. But also, let's be clear, it was his campaign manager or staffer who released the person on a lesser charge than that attacked him. The federal government had to step in. You know, so in one breath, he can't talk about lax actions from the criminal justice system, and on another breath, the person that represents him is releasing a person that attacked him on stage. Consistency in message must match the consistency in actions.
You have a situation where the legislature, despite your pleas, despite the many times that you went to Albany to talk to the legislature, even the Zoom conversations you have with members of the legislature asking for change, asking the governor for change, asking the legislature for change, fighting with Latrice Walker about it. How come this hasn't happened, and what are you going to do to push it forward now?
Well, I don't think that it's only I am asking for change. I think the people of this city, they have been asking for change. And I'm on the side of the good people of this city, and I'm going to continue to say that. I'm going to stay on the side of the good people of the city. And so we're going to continue our pursuit. We're not going to surrender this issue. We're going to have a public-facing approach to let the public know who are the repeated offenders, how these laws are hurting our public safety battle. The more we inform the public's going to make the right decision on who they want in Albany. And thanks a lot. That was his campaign co-chair that failed to give him the appropriate charges, his campaign co-chairs.
Mr. Mayor, in terms of the follow-up on what Marcia was saying, in terms of the state legislature, do you think that the situation is so bad with this catch-release repeat pattern that we see over and over again, and some of the most horrific crimes we're witnessing warrants a special emergency session of the state legislature to deal with it?
I hope they would do that. I hope that just as we had a special call to return to Albany to deal with the ruling on right to carry, I believe that Albany should consider coming and revisiting some of the violence we're seeing of repeated offenders. And we need to be clear on that. We're not talking about someone that steals an apple. We're talking about someone that has repeatedly used violence in our city, robberies, grand larcenies, burglaries, shootings, carrying a gun. This group of people are repeated offenders in our community. They're hurting our public safety.
And then in terms of the teenagers, there was a 17-year-old who was arrested and charged in the shooting of a 14-year-old in East Harlem. If you could do anything with these teens, you've done increased programs, jobs this summer, restored some of the summer streets programs. What else would you do to really try to turn it around with the youth?
Well, I believe what we're doing with the crisis management teams, with our law enforcement officers, I'm a big intervention and prevention. Intervention is right now. Our neighborhood safety team is doing an amazing job of removing guns off our streets, but we have a lot of preventive programs. Saturday Night Lights, 100,000 summer youth employments, our partnership with crisis management team, what probation is doing with young people. We're zeroing in on those who are on the pathway of violence, and we're going to continue to do that. Our summer internship programs and year-round internship programs, zeroing in on those who are in foster care, those who are living in homeless shelters. We're looking at the pattern of those who are committing crimes so that we could actually stop those who are committing crimes, but at the same time, we have to deal with those who